Guys, I guess it's been a little bit of a while since I've last talked with you guys. I think I did part 13 probably back in January or so. Oops. I know I've done a couple little update from Amanda videos back in, I want to say May and June or July, I think. But I do want to talk about one current event that's going on as well as one that happened a couple years ago. So I am going to go ahead and make this one part 14 instead of another update from Amanda videos. But it is going to be two fairly short events, so it is going to be a shorter video. But first off, I am going to talk about some current events here. Any of you who've been reading the comments on my more recent videos or are friends with me on Facebook will know that on the 28th of August, so about 2.5 weeks ago now, I got into a little bit of an accident with my car. I was on my way home from my overnight shift at Walmart. I was heading north on Union. I was in the far right lane, and there was a car that had apparently run out of gas. It was stalled in that lane, and I didn't see them until the last second, so of course I went ahead and swerved my car to avoid hitting that car, and then my car started fishtailing, pretty much. And then I crossed all 3 lanes of traffic, hit a curb, jumped into the median, and hit a little 12-foot tree. Now, I say this like I remember it, but to be perfectly honest, I don't remember a whole lot of the accident itself. It's mostly just me remembering the story itself, just because in like 3 or 4 days after the accident, my memory pretty much got wiped. I mean, I kind of remember swerving to avoid hitting the car. I kind of remember hitting the curb. I do not remember hitting the tree. But anyway, look, I did have my seatbelt on. The first thing I remember after opening my eyes after the accident, because I had my eyes squeezed shut, was that my glasses had fallen off my face because my vision was all blurry. So I reached down, found my glasses, put them back on. And it turned out that a co-worker had been driving right behind me, so of course he pulled over to see if I was okay. And a few other people who were driving by pulled over to see if I was okay. Tried freeing my car from on top of the remains of this tree, but of course it was stuck. Police came, of course. A tow truck came, pulled my car off of the remains of the tree. I actually did not get a ticket, thankfully. Because of my seatbelt, I was uninjured for the most part. My airbags didn't even go off. Although I can say, in the 2.5 weeks since the accident, I have realized after the adrenaline wore off, I did get a little bit of whiplash because I get vertigo kind of easily. Although I guess it has gotten a little better over the last couple days. Also, in addition to that, I guess I kind of hurt my back a little bit, and my back was okay for the first couple of days after the accident, but then 5 days after the accident, I was at school at UCCS, and after class I was crossing one of the streets on campus, and of course I tripped on a curb and I landed on my side. I didn't scrape myself up or anything, but I guess it kind of aggravated my back. My back's been, especially my spine, has been hurting ever since, and actually just yesterday was probably my worst day in terms of the back pain, even though I really have no idea why it was hurting more than usual. I mean, I didn't do too much heavy duty stuff at work, so I couldn't tell you why it was hurting more than usual. But anyway, I have been borrowing a back brace from work that they usually give to employees who request them to help them keep good posture when they're lifting stuff, just to help keep from injuring their backs. And I have been using that at work to stay more comfortable, although I admit it does get uncomfortable when you're trying to wear it for an entire shift. So I've just been trying to wear it when I absolutely need it. I haven't needed it for the last couple of days, although I was wearing it at the beginning of the work week on Wednesday, Thursday. But last Tuesday I wasn't wearing it and I was doing okay. But it's mostly just a matter of me trying to take it easy, take a leave when I can, because a leave definitely helps with the pain. Anyway, as for my car, even though it didn't look that bad, apparently there was just enough damage on it for my insurance company to total it. So We just got the settlement money from that a couple of days ago, and last week I actually got I was driving a rental car for my insurance company, but I had to return the car by last Thursday. So of course, last week I was kind of under pressure to find another car, otherwise I'd have to start paying out of pocket for this rental. So I was over at a local Toyota dealership, and I ended up getting a 2003 Nissan Sentra, which I guess it kind of looks very milquetoast. It's very generic. It doesn't really have a whole lot of personality, but I am hoping to kind of dress up the inside maybe a little bit just to suit my personality a little bit, make it a little more fun. Although the car is more expensive than what Justin and I were hoping to look at, and we're still trying to get financing pinned down. So right now I'm kind of in a financial bind as to figure out what to do to get this car bought, pretty much. So there's a little stress around here regarding that. But anyway, I do have a car again, although I really do wish it was another Honda CR-V, because I loved my old Honda CR-V because Justin had gotten it for me as a birthday/anniversary present just back in December, so I hadn't even had it for a year yet. And so he kind of ribs on me saying, "You mushed your car." It's like, I know! I gave that to you. I know! So there's a little bit of ribbing there, although Justin himself knows that he can't really give me too much crap about it because he's wrecked 2 cars himself, and one of those I did detail in part 13, I think. So now I guess it's been my turn to deal with the insurance and all that fun stuff. So just more adult things going on in the world of Amanda. So anyway, that's pretty much it for the main current event going on. Now, as far as the other part that I was going to mention, again, I'm kind of skipping forward in time a little bit here. The event I do want to detail just took place 2 years ago. Yesterday was actually the 2nd anniversary of that said event, but again, yeah, like I said, yesterday my back was hurting a bit, and my head still kind of feels like a thick soup from the accident, pretty much, so I wasn't really up to doing anything yesterday, but today I think I can go ahead and talk about it. So anyway, 2 years ago yesterday was when I had lost my job at Walgreens, which totally broke my heart, and well, let's just make this an open letter to my former employer, just to give it a little bit of a different spin here. So let's start out here. So 2 years ago, Mr. Withers, we ran into a little bit of an issue with me and Valerie marking down some grocery products. You knew I was in charge of doing the grocery reset, and you had wanted me to delegate some responsibilities to Valerie so I wouldn't have to take on everything. So when I was doing this reset, I went ahead and delegated the responsibility of marking down the discontinued groceries to Valerie, which I've had her do several times before without issue. Now, she did mark them down. She probably did mark them down lower than we normally go, and of course she bought a whole bunch of it, which she'd done many times in the past with no issue. And I saw her mark them down lower than usual. I know people don't say to assume anything, but I had assumed, perhaps wrongly, that she had gotten approval from the closing manager to mark the stuff down as low as she had. So I had not seen any issue. However, you apparently took issue, and unbeknownst to me, several days after that reset was done, you fired Valerie. And then the next day after that, on September 13th, I started on another reset in the candy aisle. You called me into your office, asked what went on. I answered honestly. You had me fill out a form. My hands were shaking so much because I was so nervous I could barely even write, but I wrote down my version of how things had gone down. You told me that there would be an investigation and that I would hear within the next week or so what was going to happen. So I went on with my day, continued on the candy reset. My coworkers assured me that nothing was probably going to happen because I was a good employee. I'd been with you guys for just over 13 years at that point. And but as it turned out, the investigation was complete by the end of the day because 10 minutes before the end of my shift that day, you called me into the office again. Mr. Davis was there. He was the loss prevention supervisor for the district. The manager from another nearby store was there for some reason. I don't know why. You told me you're going to go ahead and proceed with termination proceedings. You saw me go like this. You saw me break down into tears. You kept saying, I know it's hard, I know it's hard. And I kept saying my husband is going to kill me. Because I knew that, of course you wouldn't have known, but my husband has something of a temper when he gets angry. So you gave me my final paycheck. I emptied my locker, threw the stuff on the counter, walked out sobbing. My fellow employees saw me sobbing, asked what happened. I told them what happened. They said they loved me. They'd be there for me. I walked out. And since you were new to the store at the time, you'd only been there for a couple of months. I had the impression that firing me in Bali was probably the first time you had to do something like that. And since you had only been there for a couple of months, I don't think we'd really had time to talk about things that had gone on with me in terms of having gone through Columbine and losing my brother and my dad and so many other things had gone on in my life. So maybe there wouldn't have been any way for you to know that firing me was simply the straw that broke this little girl's back, because of you firing me, 5 days later, I had a nervous breakdown. I was out around town handing out applications, filling out applications, and I pretty much started freaking out. I went over to my mother-in-law's house because it was a safe haven for me because I was afraid to go home. She had to force me to eat some soup just because I was freaking out. She got on the phone with my husband, and I was pretty much out of it at this point. I yelled. I threatened to cut myself. What do you want me to do? I'm going to go ahead and cut myself. I stayed the night at my mother-in-law's house, slept badly, went home in the morning. And then from that point on, until I did find another job, my husband proceeded to treat me like a 10-year-old child, which I can tell you is frankly embarrassing and humiliating. So what do I want to say here exactly? Would you have treated things differently if you'd known that I was going to have that kind of reaction to getting fired? I don't know. I just remember I pleaded my case with you. I offered to return the stuff that I had bought at the discounted prices and get them at full price. You said no. I offered to rescind the raise you'd given me just weeks before. You said no. I just pleaded, don't do this. I've been here for 13 years. I'd never even gotten written up, and he just said he can't do anything. His hands were tied. And as far as the aftermath, besides that nervous breakdown you gave me, one of my coworkers, Debbie, you probably know her. From what I heard, about a year ago, she ended up transferring out of that store and went to a different Walgreens. I heard this from her directly, and she told me she transferred out because, frankly, she couldn't stand you. And the few times I've gone back into my old store since, there's only been a few employees' faces that I still recognize. I guess everybody else either transferred out or quit. I like to think it was out of support for me, but in reality I have no way of knowing. I just know that there's only been maybe 3 faces in there besides the people in the pharmacy that I recognize anymore. And I do know that whenever I go in there and I see you, you refuse to look me in the eye. Now, I don't know if that's just part of your thing about not wanting to get too personal with people, or you just recognize me and just feel bad about what you did. I really don't know, and frankly, I don't care because the damage is done. And 2 years later, I'm actually at my third job since you fired me. I went to Kmart for a while, but had to quit because that one shut down. I went to Xerox, was there for a year, then I pretty much left screaming, to put it bluntly. And now I'm at Walmart, where I'm being treated with some modicum of respect. I just want to say this. Maybe I made some mistakes. Maybe Valerie made some mistakes. And maybe you made some mistakes too. I just wish we could have worked something out besides you deciding that showing me the door was the best thing to do after me being there for 13 years. I'd been there since I was 17. So given the company 13 years of my life and then just having it end like that, I was brokenhearted. I had been hoping to move up there, and maybe that was why I made some mistakes, but I don't know. I just know that my mental health hasn't been quite the same since that day, so I am trying to treat myself with the respect that you didn't give me, but maybe I've talked long enough about that, so I'll just leave the Walgreens thing right there as it is, so. Alright, so I've went ahead and talked about current events. Well, one current event at least. I talked about the Walgreens thing, which is still kind of painful for me to bring up, as you can probably tell from my voice, although I think I'm starting to get a cold again, so there's that. One other thing I've been kind of dealing with on my own, I haven't really told anybody yet, but I've got you might notice this little spot on my shoulder here. It looks kind of pink. It's like right there. Maybe you can kind of see it on the webcam. I'm not sure, maybe. Anyway, well, this is another health issue, pretty much. Well, I kind of have bumpy arms. I have a habit of picking at them, and a few weeks ago, right before the accident, actually, there's another little bump up my shoulder here, so I scratched at it. It popped right away, bled right away, which is kind of unusual, because I usually have to work at it a little bit. It took a little bit to heal, and then I got this weird pink waxy scar thing that formed right here in my shoulder, which is the thing I'm pointing at here. Now, because of me being at Walmart, I'm not quite there full time, so I don't have health insurance yet. So I went ahead and looked up some free clinics that are in town. I messaged one of them on Facebook about wanting to get this looked at. They gave me a phone number to call. I went ahead and called them a couple of days ago. They referred me to another free clinic. I called them, and they told me there's some other places around town I can go to as well, and they they asked about my income and stuff, and they said I could probably qualify for Medicaid, so I should probably go ahead and get that application for Medicaid filled out, and then see about getting this looked at, because frankly, I have a history of getting sunburned on my arms, so I've been trying to make sure to keep an eye on my skin and just keep an eye out for any changes that have been going on. And this has been a quite obvious change, so I do want to make sure I can try to get that looked at. But that is just one more thing that I am trying to deal with, on top of trying to figure out what I'm going to do about paying for this car, on top of still trying to figure out what to do about my medical bills from my surgery from earlier this year. I don't know if I need to try to pull some money out of my retirement fund to fund the rest of this car, or what I'm trying to do. I'm just a little bit stressed out, so you can understand why I haven't been wanting to make any videos recently, but here we are. So, I guess that's going to be it for this week. I do know I keep mentioning that I want to make a video about Dad. So, let's see. Today's the 14th of September. His anniversary is coming up on the 23rd, so I will certainly try to make myself make a video about Dad right around that point. So I guess that'll be about another 9 days or so. So again, I do really want to thank you